everybody, Allison Gardner here, and I want to talk about Valentine's Day because it's tomorrow. Actually, by the time that you'll be seeing this, it's today. Next to Christmas and my birthday, Valentine's Day is one of the roughest days I think that I face in my marriage, where I'm currently at, kind of what's going on. Now, I get it that some people aren't that into Christmas, aren't really into their birthday, and couldn't really care less about Valentine's Day. So I need to give a little background so that you actually understand. And also, please notice that I said that it's rough, not that I hate it. Valentine's Day and all the other holidays. Let me just jump in. So, growing up, I did a video before this a while ago around Christmas time and talked about how Christmas was my favorite holiday growing up. I loved being with family. I loved the food. I loved the surprise and the magic of Christmas morning. I liked my birthday growing up because I was a kid, and so there was a certain level of self-centeredness, and I liked it that people, like, it was my special day. Valentine's Day was a bit different, however. And Valentine's Day had a whole lot to do with the fact that I was generally someone without a Valentine. Now, this is not like grade school little kid rates, because that was the time when you had the little folder and you'd staple up the sides of the folder and then it opened at the top and you'd get some tissue paper and pull the tissue paper out at the top and you absolutely loved it. Or you would make a shoebox and you'd cut out the top, and so you would have that slit for people to put Valentines and candy in. So I really loved it as a kid, but as a teenager, it was like my worst nightmare, because at my high school, at least, you had couples that were madly trying to show everybody in the school how much they loved each other. And so there would be balloons and there would be flowers and there would be like people singing Valentine grams and just all of this stuff. And there were stories about how a boy would buy carnations for all the girls in his seminary class or his regular class, and just all of these things just totally inflating Valentine's Day. And as I mentioned in a class a few weeks ago, I had a crush that I always wanted to give me a Valentine and didn't. And there never really was anyone special in my life in my high school years. And so I longed for what happened when I was a little kid, and that was gone. And so I just always thought, and there was just this idea that once I get married, I can finally celebrate Valentine's Day again. And I can finally have all of the fun of the day. And so that was kind of what I told myself to get through my high school years and my single years, in the college years and all of those things, when even at college and there was a singing Valentine gram, he's dressed as Cupid and he would sing and bring flowers and just all of these things. I always felt like an outsider looking in. And so I just always told myself that once I got married, finally Valentine's would be cool again. And so fast forward to I'm married and Valentine's isn't cool again. And Christmas brings with it its own stuff that I talked about earlier. And birthdays are hard. And birthdays and Valentine's Day are hard for a similar reason. Because it's just another signal that another year has passed. And because the person you love doesn't like that signal that another year has passed and doesn't want to be reminded of that, they don't really celebrate yours either. And Valentine's is such a sign of love and how much you love life and you love each other, and it's so ooey and gooey and it's so overly commercialized. This video actually came because I was just in the grocery store buying groceries and seeing flowers everywhere and giant teddy bears everywhere and chocolates everywhere and all of this stuff everywhere. And I just groaned inside of me. I just, ugh, inside of me, because if I don't get the chocolates myself, they're not going to happen. And the only way a flower is going to show up in my space is if I buy it myself. Because right now, the person I love is facing turmoil and is having a hard time. And how petty do I feel saying, okay, just ignore all of the stuff that's going on, that I'm currently not fully understanding all of what's going on, and just ignore all of that and do something for me. Like, in what realm of reality do I do that? And especially for something so petty and so silly. And so it's rough, because I want to be there for the other person, and I want to show up and to be supportive and to be kind and loving. But I also am just feeling sort of frustrated and just confused, because I don't know what's going on, but I know stuff is going on, and to know what to do and how to be there, and to not want to remind and not want to make it an even bigger deal than it is, because guilt is a big thing in depression. Guilt is a really big thing. And so, and you shame yourself, and you resent yourself, and you trip yourself a lot. And so one of the things for me in what I try and do is to not do that, to step back, and to not be heaping on more negative thought processes than I already know are happening. I don't want to be a part of that, and I don't want to make it worse. And so I try and step back and to be more balanced, and to just kind of let it be. But the thing that I struggle with in stepping back, because I don't want to heap more into the mix than is already in the mix, is, but what about me? Partnerships, marriages take two people. And so if you are frustrated, or if you are feeling put upon, or if you are feeling alone and isolated, then that shows up in your marriage. And so what do you do to help yourself still be kind without dragging yourself down? How do you find that balance? Because we've already talked about, if you bury emotions, they will show up. If you try and put them down to the bottom, they're gonna rise up, and they're gonna blow up in painful, big, huge ways. So what do you do? How do you work through that? And so I've been pondering on this a lot, and I talked about this in another video, but I really wanted to talk about it here because it's just such a fascinating topic for me. And I've connected some more dots. So different emotions have different energies attached. Different emotions have different energy frequencies attached to them. And so different feelings that you have evoke different energy levels in your body. Frustration, anger, and depression and despair, desolation, all of the really not good alone ones are at the very, very bottom. They really pull you down. Feelings of happiness, of excitement, of joy, of unity, of feeling loved, and gratitude's a big one, are all at the very, 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 very top of the scale. So the good feelings you feel literally excite your atoms to move faster. So that's why you kind of feel the warm and fuzzy, and you feel like you have a lot of energy, is because these emotions bring you up to this high level. Whereas the negative emotions have a very low frequency. So your atoms are moving very slowly. And so they bring you down here. And so depending on where you choose, what kinds of emotions you keep on your mind the most often, are the kinds of emotions where your body naturally sets its normal to. And so if they're lower frequency emotions, you have a lower frequency in your atoms. And so you kind of rest at a lower level. And so if you have more positive thoughts and more optimism, and you're you're cultivating a feeling of more positivity, then your atoms get used to stepping up and living at this higher level. And not a higher level, but just they're moving faster because you feel emotions that evoke them moving faster. And so then you get used to living up here instead of down here. So you're like, what in the world does this have to do about a video about Valentine's Day? Let me sum up. So as I was thinking about this and pondering this, I realized that if I'm feeling really cruddy about the holiday, and that's the emotion that I evoke, and that is the emotion that I choose to live at, then that's where I pull my memories down to. That's where I pull my energy down to. Because when I walked in that store, wow, like everything I looked at, I'm like, oh, this is so commercialized and it won't have any effect on me. And I realize how selfish that sounds, guys. I realize how rotten that I feel even thinking about it. I'm working on that. But I have a choice in that moment where I either get to be grumpy and to be in that spot and to lower myself and choose to slow everything down and to be at that place. Or I get to choose to acknowledge, always acknowledge. So you acknowledge what's there, and then you choose to say, okay, what is there? Well, I really do like the box of chocolates, so I'm going to buy the box of chocolates so it's around my house. Not because I'm eating emotionally, but just because I like chocolate and it's there and I have the money, so why don't I get it? Or, oh, hey, that salad was on sale, so I get a chopped kit. Or just realizing that, okay, that's a thing. That's a thing that caused an emotion, but I don't want to live there. And so by making that choice, then I get to keep living at this higher frequency and at this, what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyway, higher vibration. So I get to stay up here instead of bouncing back and forth because I'm angry, then I'm trying to be happy, then I'm angry, then I'm trying to be happy. If instead we learn to acknowledge what's there and then let it be, then we're not moving so far back and forth. And I was talking to a friend last week, and here's just an additional tip that makes me happy. There's a quote that goes around Facebook that says, just if you want to rewire your brain, write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. And I was like, well, how does that work? Well, because you are choosing a time in your day where you are lifting yourself up to one of the highest frequencies by choosing gratitude, your body slowly gets used to being at that higher level, and it slowly gets used to embracing this new, better, happier feeling. And so you kind of slowly tick up on how fast your atoms are moving and how fast you're vibrating at, like where you're vibrating at and what your frequency is. And so it's not as exhausting to think positive thoughts. And it's not so much of a hard switch flip to be like, I'm feeling negative, I have to be positive. You're slowly going up that scale where your brain is more comfortable and your body is more comfortable at being a higher frequency. So if you happen to be like me, and your birthday or major holidays or Valentine's Day is not your favorite thing and you don't want to be grumpy about it, but you're kind of feeling stuck in it, I would encourage you to look at things that you're grateful for, and kind of start helping yourself raise your vibration so that you can be more used to and more comfortable in a higher frequency, a higher vibration, so that you can be a little bit more level-headed about what's going on. And also, this is just to say you're not alone. If it's not your favorite, I totally get it. Just because I don't want to live in Grumpyville doesn't mean that I'm also excited about it. But it means that I can let it be and it doesn't affect me so much. So thank you for joining me. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you around next time. Bye, guys.